All right, thank you for joining tonight. I'm just gonna listen. I'm excited. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring my guest on. I normally introduce them. I'm gonna let her introduce herself. All right, she already smiling. I love it here. All right, so here's my guest. Come online. Come on, come on. Hey, hey, how you doing tonight?
Yeah.
Good. Thank you again for coming on, y'all. We've already had a great conversation tonight. Your mom says she's on. Um
Oh, that's one of my godmoms. Hey, girl, I love you too. Hey, y'all.
All right. Well, so thank you for joining my podcast. Tonight's topic
Of
is
course.
Heart Warrior. So I
Yeah.
already told you, I want you to introduce yourself. Tell the people about yourself.
Y'all, she put me on a spot already. But hey, y'all, good evening. My name is Brittany. I do go by Brikky. That is one of my nicknames. I am 27 years old. Originally from the same hometown that Shasta is from, Martinsville, Virginia. Shout out to VA. I currently live in Charlotte, North Carolina at the time being. So let's get into
Let's
it.
get into it. So again, y'all, we already started the conversation. It's been pretty amazing. So you're pretty amazing. So can you share
Yeah.
your experience leading up to and undergoing heart surgery?
Yeah. Honestly, I was really outside. Like, people say they was outside. I was
Yeah.
outside. I was definitely outside, but I was really working two jobs at the time. Mainly what I was doing was really like nightlife. Um, it definitely took like a huge toll on me. I was constantly going out, and in this time frame is really one of the things that God wanted my attention and had to like literally like sit me down. And so that's what happened. I'll never forget. I did have a procedure done back in March. It was for like a laser laparoscopic. It was for endometriosis. And during the time, they found that my heart rhythm was abnormal. So they suggested that I should see a cardiologist. And so went ahead and set the appointment. Right after my procedure, I would say like a couple of weeks, beginning of April, I started to notice that my chest was very tight. Like it felt like 20 bricks was just sitting on my chest.
Wow.
Um, I was having, like a hard time breathing, but I thought it was just because I was out of shape. I wasn't in the gym, I wasn't dancing no more. I thought it was just like, okay, girl, you just out of shape. Like, you need to get it together. But as time, goes on, I was still working. And I would say around April the 10th is when I noticed that it started getting worse. I was working in nightlife. I had to do one of my bosses at the time. He had like this big birthday bash, and I started to notice like, yeah, my chest was hurting. It was real tight, but my heart rate had dropped, and I didn't know until my Apple Watch. Shout out to Apple.
Right.
Um, yeah, so my Apple Watch it notified me, and it was like your heart rate had dropped. And when I looked, it was at 40. Then when I clicked on it, it was below 40.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, that's weird. I took a picture of it and I sent it to my mom and I was like, hey girl, like this is what's going on. She was like, well, you are very athletic. You dance a lot. 40 beats per minute is pretty normal for people that's athletic, as they say. So I was just like, okay. She said, if it gets worse, just keep an eye on it. So I was like, well, cool. I'm going to rest on Monday. Didn't have to work because that was a Sunday. So Monday come, I was like,
Right.
don't have to do anything. Just go get my check from the job
Right.
and I'm going to rest and I'm going to chill out. Monday come, it starts getting worse. I could hardly breathe. I could hardly move. Like I was moving, but I just felt bad. Like I was in pain.
Wow.
So Tuesday, this was April the 12th. I went to work. I worked at AT&T as well. I felt bad. You could see it in my face. Like I just knew something wasn't right. And I'm one of those people to where if you don't gotta go to the hospital, don't go. But if you gotta go, then just
Do
go.
what you got to do, right?
You right, do what you gotta do. So I went, I left work, I was like, I can't do this. So I went to the hospital. I drove all the way uptown to the hospital. I didn't pass about 3 hospitals on the way. But I said, nah, I felt led to go to the one uptown. So I got there and they checked me in, instantly went to the back. And I knew something was wrong instantly when I seen the tech that had did my EKG. And he looked at me and I looked at him like, okay, well, what's going on? He looked at me again. He said, you sure you don't feel like, you feel dizzy or anything, nothing like that? I said, no, like, it's just really hard for me to breathe.
Right.
Like, I just feel bad. And he was like, okay. So they did, all the blood work and stuff. So they moved me to a mobile unit, which was in the back that they have at the main hospital. I went in there, and the doctor come, and she was like, your heart rate, she said, something's not right. She said, your heart rate, I have to send everything over to the cardiologist team so they could take a look at it because it's below 40. That's all she would say. She didn't tell me the number. She didn't say anything. It was just below 40.
Wow.
I'm like, all right. So hours go by. I finally see the cardiologist. He comes out and talks to me. He was like, ma'am, we're going to have to go ahead and admit you because your heart rate is at 28 beats per minute.
Wow. It went from 40 to 28.
40 to 28. I said 28. Okay. So he was like, yes, so we're going to have to go ahead and admit you. We're going to monitor you for a couple of days just to see, try different medicines to see if we can get it up and moving, but we can't send you home like this.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. So, I notified my mom and stuff. So instantly, from when I started panicking because I had never been admitted to the hospital. I know how it is based upon like my nana, family members been in the hospital, but when you're in the hospital, it's a different ball game.
Mm-hmm.
I was admitted, and it's crazy because it was just like as soon as I was admitted, finally got in a room, they check your vitals throughout the night. I went from 28 that night, Shasta, to 18 beats per minute.
Wow.
I looked, and I thought I was half asleep. I had looked because the girl looked at me, and she was like, are you sure this is right? And I was like, that's a 1.8 beats per minute? Like, nah, can't be. So she was like, I'm going to notify your nurse. They did every testing that they could do. It went from 1 night to 2 nights, and I was in the hospital for a whole week and a half.
Wow.
They did an echocardiogram on me. They did an MRI. Like, they did all testing. At first, they wanted to say I had lupus, but that wasn't the case. They asked me if I had any other type of disease, going down family history. They was like, anyone in your family have heart issues? And I was just like, no, besides my grandfather. He's had a heart attack, but I mean, it's about age range, right. But me, no. And so at the time, I was 25. And so I pretty much seen the entire cardiologist team that came in there. It's wild because in that moment, through that whole week and a half, it's just like it wasn't really an answer. At first, they wanted to go ahead and do the surgery for a pacemaker, but that was like they never seen this before. Me being so young, they couldn't figure out where it came from, how it happened. So once all the test results came back, they said I had acute pericarditis, which is like fluid around the side of your heart.
Wow.
I had a blockage on my heart, so which is called a sinus bronchitia. My heart itself is fine. The top chambers was good, but it was my lower chambers. My lower chamber wasn't pumping enough blood to my heart, so that's why my heart rate was low.
Wow. Okay.
So within that week, I went from 40, I went to 20, I went to 18, and I kept fluctuating back from, in the 20s. So my heart rate wouldn't get back to where it needs to be for the life of me. So, when you're in there, especially being in a hospital and stuff, you're hearing all these things and it's confusing because you don't really understand it. You're not, knowledgeable when it comes about health and stuff about the heart.
Right.
Just sitting in there, it was really like a lesson where I had no other choice but to trust God. I had no other choice but to really have faith because it's just like my life depended on it.
Right.
The pain that I felt, my chest was still hurting. I was still in pain. I literally cried every day because I was confused, didn't know where it came from.
Right.
It was so bad to the point to where like if I just wanted to die, like I was okay with just being there, like just leaving because I was sick of it.
Wow.
I couldn't get the answers, asking all these questions. The doctors the whole week and a half couldn't figure out anything.
Wow.
So as time progressed, it was still fluctuating, but it got to the point to where, my symptoms were gone and I was feeling a lot better, but my heart rhythm was still fluctuating. It was like it was playing hopscotch. Like it was just back and forth, and forth.
Wow.
So I was able to get it to 50 in the 50s. And so the day before they released me, it was like, I want to say at a 57. It wasn't at a 60, but they were okay with it because they seen that it was progressing.
Right.
And so she said, since I didn't, faint or I didn't collapse or anything and my symptoms and stuff was feeling good, she just wanted me to follow up with my cardiologist. So cool. I got released. This is in April. All of this is in April. So during that time, I missed Easter. I was in the hospital, couldn't eat nothing, like in there. May comes around. I end up seeing a cardiologist. The day that I went, my heart rate was at 60 beats per minute. I was good. I felt like I was in my prime time. I was like, okay, it's summertime. I can get to the bag and nightlife. That's quick money. Like, I'm good. I
So
don't have to worry
you
about
was
nothing.
ready to go back outside.
What? Ready to go back outside. I had boats lined up that I was supposed to be on. Like, good. And it's crazy because I did go on the boat. But after that, I was like, okay, yeah. I started feeling the symptoms. And it was just like I was going back to my old ways to where I was drinking crazy. We're going to talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
I was drinking, being like an average Joe, like living my best life.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things where God was just like, no, like, this is not it. He had to sit me down. So May comes around and I start feeling the symptoms again, but I didn't really say nothing. I didn't press on it. I was just like, okay, like, I got to chill out. Just go to work, do what I got to do, and just keep it moving.
Right.
So June comes, and that's when things start to really get worse. I felt the tightness in my chest again. It was like a fight or flight. I was having a lot of abdominal pain. And I'll never forget on June the 16th, it's crazy because I had told my mom, she was like, you don't need to work at the bar. You just need to work your day job. By this time, I had left AT&T and I had started working for a law firm. Went there. I was good during the day. And she was like, don't you work your night job? And I was like, okay. But I did anyway.
But you did it anyway.
Should have listened.
Yeah.
I had went, and that whole day, like, I just felt so bad. Like, I was miserable. Like, wow. I was in pain. I felt bad. But, of course, I still went. And I had went, served the table my bottle, the bottle of their choice. And I came back like I was good, even though I was in pain. I was like, well, let me take an 800 milligram ibuprofen. I should be fine. Maybe it's just cramps or something. While I took that, I had came and it was a song on. I was just laughing with my coworkers and I was dancing. And I'll never forget like the feeling that I felt within my body. It was just like a tingling feeling. And all I remember was grabbing onto the bartender's arm. And I had collapsed in front of all these people. And I didn't even know. I didn't have a pulse for 40 seconds. They said my eyes was rolling to the back of my head. When I came conscious, and I started waking up, it was like, it's like blurred lines. Like when you waking up, it's everything a little blurry. All I see is people standing over me, and it freaked me out because I was just like, okay, like what happened?
What just happened? Yeah.
Like what just happened? And all I hear is the security guard saying my name, like Britt, talking to me, asking me questions and stuff, trying to keep me conscious. And I'm answering them, but I'm confused at the same time because I'm just like, okay, what happened? And the way our floors is set up, it was like concrete, but we had put like little fake grass on top. So I didn't even know if I hit my head or nothing. Like everyone just freaking out. So of course, by the time the EMTs come, and I was just like, dang, like I already knew what it was when they came. I was just like, it's got something to do with my heart. So we had another part of the building to the lounge. So this security guard, he scooped me up and he took me over there. And my manager, I instantly called my mom because I was just like, okay, they out of town. I can't go to the hospital by myself when I already know what's going to go down. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to have to pray and keep it moving. That's exactly what I did.
Right.
She was like, didn't I tell you not to go to work? And I was like, you know what? You was right. I should have listened. But it was going to happen one way or another.
So let's go here. Since you said that, we talked about it. So you're 25 at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you outside, living your best life, doing all that you can do. Yeah. And like we talked about it off stage, you like God had to get your attention and he had to stop you because if you hadn't listened, if you hadn't stopped, it could have been a good chance that you might not have been here to tell this story today.
Okay.
Because you outside doing what you want to do. So at 25, God slowed you down.
Real bad.
Heart surgery.
Real bad.
Pacemaker.
Real bad.
Real bad, right? So now we talked about being obedient before we came live. And you said your mom told you not to go. You went anyway. Your disobedience that happened in front of it could have happened anyway. Mm-hmm. But if you had to listen, maybe you would have been at home. So now here we are 2 years later. What is God telling you to do? Let's talk. What is God telling you to do, or what do you know to do or not to do now that, that you got to stay on track to what he's telling you?
Honestly, just really be obedient. Like when he give you a warning and a signal, and it's like, the flags, like, the warnings.
Right.
And the moment that you keep bypassing them, it's just like, he's going to stop you one way or another. And, I'm very grateful that you did within that time frame because When your heart rate drop below, first of all, 30, you're supposed to immediately go into cardiac arrest,
Right.
have a heart attack or something. I never had that. And so it's just like I collapsed, and that was just like my wake up call, just like that, because it's just like, okay, if I wouldn't have collapsed, I probably still would have been doing the stuff that I was doing. And it's just like, you know, in order for me to really be the woman that God has called me to be and want me to be,
Right.
it's like I've always had a relationship with Him. And there's times that, you know, we do fall astray, you know,
Right.
from
Right.
God.
Right.
But when you know that you are a vessel for God and you're His child, He's going to call you home to where you need to be. And that was just definitely one of those moments. And so, you know, I'm very grateful.
Right.
And sometimes, you know, you can fall by the wayside,
Yeah.
but, you know, as long as
Absolutely.
you know, like, He loves you regardless.
Right.
So,
So,
I
and I
think,
can tell, I don't know much. We just met,
mm-hmm.
literally. We follow each other on social media, but we just met literally. I can tell the seed was planted in you at an early age. And the Bible says to train up a child in the way they should go. And when they're older, they won't, they won't depart. That means we might do what we want to do for a season, but we're always coming back. Now,
Yeah.
for you, I don't know what the call of God is on your life. I don't know what He has for you to do at your young age. But for Him to slow you down like that, He must have something amazing for you to do. To just like, no, I really gotta slow her down and get her attention.
Yeah. And I'm grateful because when I tell you, like, around that time frame, it was really who I was surrounded by.
Yeah.
The people that I had in my life, it was like, it was nothing but toxicity, like bad energy, just
Right.
negative stuff, like constant. It was no peace in my life whatsoever. And it's just like to the point to where, you know, like I said, I'm very grateful because in that time frame, when I look back in the years, like I was miserable. I wasn't happy. I was trying to figure out who I was. You know, it's like a secret identity. You know, like I
Yeah.
felt like my identity was stolen from me, you know, at a very young age. But even now, it's just like, you know, figuring out who I was around that time.
Right.
And it was just like, I literally had to have an eye opener. And I always tell people, you know, a traumatic experience is one thing, but you will really see who's for you and who is meant to be in your life and who you need to remove when you go through such a traumatic experience.
When you on your back, right?
When you on your back,
Come
when
on.
I tell you in the hospital,
Come
I
on.
can count on one hand how many people came to visit me, whether brought me flowers, who checked on me after my surgery. But sis, this, can you do this? Can you do that? Or can you support me? Can you do this? Right? And so, you know, it definitely shifted my perspective and it made me realize, like, okay, I don't need to seek nobody else but God, because if I'm comfortable with God, if I find peace within God, then I'll find peace within myself.
Right. Right.
Simple as that. Like,
Wow. So I was gonna ask you, how did you cope with the emotional stress after going through the surgery? Because even though we know God is speaking to us, God is slowing us down. We're grateful to be alive, but emotionally, how did that affect you?
um, honestly, I was miserable. You know, I was angry. I was very upset. I felt abnormal. Being young, I was like, Dad, you know, I'm 25. I have a pacemaker in me. Like, I can't be around metal detectors. I can't. How can I tell my children whenever I do have some, they want to go to an amusement park? I can't get on a ride with them. You know, I can't do certain things. So it was like a lot of stuff that played within my mind. And you know, your mind can be one of the biggest tricks on, like,
Right.
still to this day, bad.
Right.
But my mom, you know, having family, really praying, seeking in my journal, stuff like that, you know, having my mom, one of the things that really like uplifted me within that moment was the day after my surgery. And then when I came home, you know, she asked me, she was like, how's your mental? Like, what are you feeling? Like, how
Right.
are you feeling?
That's
Because
good.
at that time I had so many emotions running through my mind because it was just like, I was very upset. Like, why me? Me out of all people, I
Right.
had to go through this. I'm around my friends. I'm around a whole bunch of people that have a normal heart, but here I am. I have like a device that's in me, and it's just like, you know, I felt for the longest like that wasn't fair, but I had to remind myself like God chose me
Come
for
on.
a reason,
Come on.
and when you're chosen,
Come
it's
on.
nothing that you can do about it. You
Come
just
on.
have to be obedient.
You just have
And
to be
so,
obedient. So did you
right.
find out, like, did you realize it immediately after you had the surgery that I'm chosen by God? And even though I hate this, I don't quite understand it all. But did you find out, or did it take some time before that clicked? Like, okay, this is God doing it. How was your process there?
Honestly, it took some time. To be honest, it really took last year.
That's
For
real.
me, I'll never forget. I was working in a store, and it was this girl that had came in, and for some reason, like I just felt led to talk to her. I've seen her mom a couple of times. She's always talked about her child being sick and stuff like that, but she never went into detail. So I had met a young lady. She was 23 at the time. She ended up going through the same thing that I went through,
What? See?
like the same exact thing. And as she was telling her story, it was literally like the Holy Spirit was like, "This is your why." And I heard that plain as day, and I was just like, okay. So I'm starting, talking to her, telling my testimony. It's just like she broke out into tears because it's just like she went through the same thing, but she had a feeding tube. She couldn't eat. I
Come on.
didn't have that.
Come on. So it could have been worse.
It could have been
It
worse.
was bad, but it could have been
It
worse.
was bad, but
Come
it could have
on.
been worse. When I collapsed, I could have died. My pulse was at 40 seconds. All it took would be a couple more seconds,
Couple of
and I
more
was
seconds, you were
flatline, and I
done.
could have been dead.
Jesus.
And so when I talked to her and I see myself, I was like, like this really is my why. Like I really could have been dead. I should have been dead, but I'm not dead. I'm still here for a reason.
Right.
This is your purpose. You
Right.
were chosen for a reason.
Come on.
And so when I had went, after speaking to her, and I was just like, okay, I started going back into church. I started journaling, and the problem was that I never not just went to church because I didn't feel like it. It was always because I was at work. I always worked at nightlife, so I always had to work on Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went, started to tap in with God more and really seeking Him first. And I'll never forget one of my mentors. Her conference is called a BU, and I live by that. And I had went, and it was so many different speakers that was preaching and stuff, and it was something that really spoke out to me because the point of the conference was for you to be able to know who you are,
Right.
who God designed you to be.
Right.
And so when I went and I see different people, it's like I've always had a problem to where, I'm not going to say a problem, I guess it's like a gift to where I can feel when something's off with somebody, or I can sense where I need to speak life into a person, even if I'm at my lowest and I don't feel myself. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I always speak life into others because it's just like, I went through something traumatic, but by the grace of God, I'm still here. Like, people take that for granted all the time.
Let's park right here. Right here. Then listen, let's go back to, I know some of our situations may be bad, but it could be a whole lot worse. Yeah. So while we're going through what we're going through, just start thanking God. And it may not ever make sense to you, but start thanking God. In the Bible says in everything give thanks. It doesn't say for everything. It says in everything give thanks. So when you're going through your down season or you're going through your dry season, just wake up. When you wake up in the morning, thank you, God, because I'm still here. I still have a voice to say thank you. I still have my right mind to be able to give you that glory, to give you that honor. So when you're going through your situation, when you're going through your trials and your tests, it could be a whole lot worse. That was the first thing I want to say. The second thing is being you, being your authentic self. We talked about it. Yeah. There is something special about Brikky, about Brittany, that nobody else has. There's something special about you, something special about your character, something special about your life that nobody else has, that God gave it to you so that way you can help other people. What can you tell me one thing about you that's different, that that's your authentic self, something that you figured out in the past 2 years that's just different about you that stands out to you? I know I put you on spot with that one, but
yeah, you did. Cause
nah, go ahead.
I don't know. I would have to say that I would have to really say like my resilience.
Let's go.
Being unique. I always stick by this quote that I say and that I tell people. Your scars is what makes you beautiful. Yeah. And your scars is what makes you unique, because it's how you look at a scar and you be like, it's still there, but it's going to be there for a long time. Right. But when I look at my scar, I'm very grateful. Right. It's who I am. Like, right. That's just me. That's my personality. That's me. I'm unique for a reason. I'm me for me. Right. And so I really have to say my resilience, because the things that I've been through within my life, like, I honestly don't know how, like, I have this mindset. Like, a lot of people my age and people even older than me would collapse and just fumble and would not be able to handle it. And, for me to be able to have that type of mindset, like I'm just very grateful. So I would really say like that's just the unique thing about me is my resilience.
You're
I
resilient.
just keep pushing.
Right. That's God in you, for real. And you're helping people now, like you don't even understand. You're helping me. You know what I'm saying? With your testimony, you're helping me. Just like,
Oh
hey, you
man.
got to be resilient. You got to,
Mhm.
you got to be confident in God that regardless of what happened, He still got you, and He still has a purpose. And you're chosen. You're one of the ones He chose to do what you do, right? So
Yeah.
how did your spiritual journey evolve during your process of healing and through the last 2 years?
I would say really writing in my prayer journal. I have a prayer journal that I write in. Definitely watching sermons, something to feed my mind and my spirit is what helped me. I controlled who I allowed myself to be around and who I allowed to be around me. A lot of people don't really realize the fact that when you hang around certain people, whatever they face, their energy or their dark cloud can come into you. And it's not taking anything personal to where it's something against them. Is that you have to protect your peace and your mental by all costs.
Right.
Like, you can love them from a distance, but I'm real big on my peace. If I feel that any sense of negative energy that comes my way, I will instantly remove myself. And I feel like that definitely played a part, especially in your healing journey. Like, you have to isolate yourself and be by yourself in order to fully heal, in order to have a better understanding, in order to grasp into what happened. It's like, you have to accept what happened,
Right.
you have to move forward, and you
Hmm.
just have to keep pushing. But it's not going to happen unless you isolate yourself. And even when you're around a lot of people, it's just like, how can you hear what's really going on if you're around people and if you're around certain people? It's like mixed energies. You can't really hear it and focus on yourself.
Right.
So that's one of the things that I really have to do in order to heal. Even still to this day, like, it is a daily progress. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. It definitely takes time, but it's in a season you're going to have to isolate. Simple as that. Like, you're going to have to pray and you're going to have to continue to have friends, family that's going to, pour into you while you pour into others.
Right.
So that way you can fully heal.
So your downtime was your growth time
Mm-hmm.
and your maturity time.
It was.
And that is so good because no, listen, when you're going through after you've had surgery, or especially like I had surgery and like right after I had it, COVID hit. So
Mm.
your immune system has to build back up. I, listen,
Yeah.
I just got this. Your immune system has to build back up while you're healing. That's to say
Mm-hmm.
your spiritual system has to heal. That, it's like your immune system, your spiritual
Yes.
system has to heal. So sometimes you need that alone time and you need that isolation time, so that way your spiritual immune system, that was God right there, your spiritual immune system has to heal.
Yeah.
Because while you're down and while you're depressed or while you're sad, that's the opportunity for things to really attach to you because you're in a low place. And sometimes when you're in your low place, you can't fight like you will when you're strong.
Okay.
Your
You
system,
grasp into anything.
your
Like,
your system doesn't fight as hard when your system is down, when your body is down. So when your spirit is low, you don't fight as hard because your immune system has to be built up. Come on, that was
come on, listen.
you. So you got to have that alone time, so that way you can build and like write, like you said, write in your journal, and that way you can pray and you can, because some people are negative too. Let me tell you something. I was going in for my second surgery. Seriously,
Mm.
I had abdominal surgery. They cut me 3 times. My second time, I went down for surgery, and the lady that was doing checking my vitals and everything, my
Mm.
hands were swole. I've been laying there for like 14 days, and my hands were swollen. And don't you know, she had the nerve to say, "I don't even know how you gonna get through this." The lady that was doing my vitals, the one that's supposed to be helping me, she was like, "Look at your hands swole. I can't even get the needle in there. I don't know how you doing as good as you doing." And I'm sitting there like, God is not giving me the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind.
Okay.
Mind you, I'm in the waiting room to go back in the OR. And I'm like, God is not giving me the spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind. God is not giving me the spirit of fear. I'm
Mm.
repeating that because in that low moment, the enemy tried to infiltrate my mind, and he tried to take advantage of my vulnerability and my system because I was in a low place. And at that point, before I went up under the knife, that was an attack to get me to start speaking negative over my life so I wouldn't have been able to come out.
Yeah.
You know? And so, and I'm like, at that low time, you got to be able to pull from something in your spirit. Somehow you fed yourself the word. Somehow you fed yourself some type of inspiration to be able to pull from in that low season. But if you don't isolate and get that time, you can't build it back up.
You can't. You cannot. Like, you cannot. And in that moment, you know, especially me isolating myself and like finding out, you know, who I really was in, because this is pretty much a new life for me. Like,
Right.
God gave me another chance, is what I say. Like,
Right.
a new life. It's crazy because it's just like all I can remember was my grandmother, my Nana's strength, what she endured when she had cancer. She never complained. All she did was pray.
Wow.
Consistently prayed, gave God praise, and you know, and that was like one of part of my strength. Like, yes, relying on God, but remembering what she did and how she had strength.
Right.
And that's something that came into me because, like you said, you know, when you're really in a low place, your mom will literally play tricks on you. And it's like you have to feed your mind with nothing but positive spirit. You have to feed your mind nothing, whether it's Bible verses, whether you watch a sermon,
Yep.
everything. Like, the things that you see and the things that you watch, it can really control your mind when you're in a low place.
Right.
And it's just like you said, when you're really in a low place, you'll be quick to adapt to anything.
Yep.
Any negative spirit.
Yep.
There's people that say that they're gonna PRAY for you, but they really PREY
Come on.
on you.
Yep.
And so you have to really distinguish the two to know, you know, like what place that you're in, and you have to accept your low place.
Right.
And you have to look at your low place as a blessing, because when you get to that other place, when you get to the better side, you're
Yep.
going to be 10 times better than what you were in the past.
Yep.
You're going to be unstoppable.
Yep.
Can't nobody stop you.
Yep.
And so that's just the mindset that you really got to, you know, have to continue to really move forward from.
Right. And so you bless me like on a daily basis, because I told you, I try to inspire people, and I try to post stuff, you know, that's going to like, you don't never know who needs that inspiration from day to day. And I can honestly say from day to day, you're always sharing my stuff. And then when I seen you had kind of a down moment, it was like in some moments, it was like, I needed that. You know, you didn't have to tell me, we didn't have a conversation, but you got to keep doing that. I want to encourage you to be that person, because you encourage people, not just the younger people, but you encourage the older people, even in those moments where you like, Lord, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing now? In those down times, pull back into that word, or pull back into, even if it's looking back at the young lady that was 23, that was doing worse than you were. In those low moments, sometimes you got to look back and say, if it had not been for God on my side,
where would I be?
And, you know, now we can say it. At 27, you can say it. And
Yeah.
no, because I got a testimony behind, if it had not been for the Lord who was on my side, if the Lord has not spared my life,
Listen.
if he hadn't kept me here, I wouldn't be here today. And so now you got something to pull from, to, you know, when those moments, they're going to come. But you pull from, you know, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, the shadow of come on now, you saw it. The shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Now you done been through that shadow part. See, the shadow, I didn't mean to go. The shadow is not the actual thing.
Right.
It's the shadow of what it is. When you walk, you have a shadow. It's not actually you. It's your shadow walking behind it. And sometimes the shadow shines so much fear on us because it looks like something that it's not. Yea, though I walk through the shadow of death, he didn't say that you died. He said you walked through the shadow. That means that thing cannot overtake you. That thing cannot kill you. It cannot destroy you because it's just a shadow. He said you're walking through the shadow. You're walking through the shadow of death. And then he said, I will fear no evil. So when that shadow tries to come, or when that darkness tries to surround you, you just, you just a shadow. I will fear no evil because
Right.
why? Because God is with me.
Right.
He said, because God is with me, and he said his rod and his staff, it comforts him. So that way in the shadow of death, like that rod and that staff is there to fight for you in those low places. That his rod and his staff, it comforts you. It protects you. It shields you, and it's fighting. It's fighting off those things. Listen, the shadow is in the spirit realm.
It's really.
It's in the spirit realm. So his sword and his shield is fighting in the spirit realm for you. But you got to know that no matter what you go through, and I'm telling you this, that God is with you. That
Yeah.
goodness and mercy shall follow you all the days of your life. So even though the shadow is there, goodness and mercy is following you.
Yeah.
He got you. He got you covered.
He
It
really.
doesn't it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the enemy tries to do. God got you covered. Man, when you think about it, listen, I want to encourage you. When you think about he tried to destroy you at 25
Mm-hmm.
because you have a great call on your life. And your testimony is going to help so many people. And the Bible says in Revelation 12:11 that we are overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So the more you talk about it and the more you tell people, the more you're going to overcome and the more you're going to help other people overcome, because everything we go through is not for us, it's for other people.
Right.
So the people you're going to come in contact with, the people that are just going to like standing in Walmart, and you're going to be able to tell them, hey, I went through the shadow of death. because God is with me, he kept me. Well, how did he keep you just a baby? Oh, let me tell you what happened. Hey, my heart is beating a little bit different,
Okay.
but he kept me here. And
Yeah.
you're going to be able to do all the stuff that you don't think you're going to be able to do. You're going to be, let me go to the next question, because listen, you ain't ready.
I'm about to pass the offering plate.
What advice do you have for other young people who might be facing adversity? Goodness and mercy. Thank you, Jesus.
Ooh.
Thank you, Jesus.
That was good right there. My God. The advice that I'll have to give is to give yourself grace. Really stand on grace and to really have faith and trust in God. When you feel things are impossible, and you feel like there is no end, just know that there is a God and God is going to carry you through everything.
Yeah.
Like, it's always like a package, right? We always order stuff, let's say for Amazon, right?
Right.
You order something from Amazon and they give you an estimated
Come on.
time of arrival.
Come on.
The dates is further down the line from when you need it, right?
Yep.
You don't need it right then and there. But when it comes, normally it takes about 2 or 3 days and it shows up on your doorstep.
Right.
That's like trusting God and having faith in God. When you ask God for something, when you're praying for God, God's going to give you what you need. He's going to give it to you if it aligns within his will. If it doesn't align within his will, then that means it's just not for you.
It's not for you.
And you have to think about every situation that you face within your life. You have to consistently rely on God and truly pray.
Yeah.
And ask God, like, what is my season?
Yeah.
Like, what is it that I'm going through? Just because you went through a traumatic experience, from one, can't nobody tell you how to, cope with your trauma.
Right.
Don't rely to different coping mechanisms just to feel, just to feel good, because the feeling is only temporary.
Right.
It's not going to change anything. You're still going to feel the things that you feel.
Right.
But you have to really pray. You have to have, like that spiritual realm. Like, you really have to have time with God.
Right.
You really have to have a strong supporting system, by your side, that's going to uplift you and that's going to pray with you and that's going to pray for you.
Right.
Be mindful of who you talk to.
Yep.
When you're hurting and you're in that low place. Yep. Because there's a lot of times that we rely on other people, and I still tell myself this still to this day, like, there's other people that's still in a low place and they can't give you advice and tell you how to overcome something that they never faced or went through. And they're still battling with.
Yes.
So you have to have that one-on-one time with God, and instead of seeking other people, seek God first. Right. And just know, like, look at me, I'm literally a living testimony. Yeah. You're going to get through it.
Yeah.
Whether it's cancer, whether it's diabetes, whether you didn't have a stroke, whether it's anything, you're going to get through it.
You're going to get
just because the doctor say one thing, that does not mean that, it's to the end. It's the end, because it's not.
Right.
It's not.
Right.
So just be strong and just really give yourself grace.
Right.
And just seek God.
And seek God. And stop trusting Amazon Prime than more than we trust God. Because we know without a doubt we pay for Amazon Prime, and they tell us if we order it today, it's going to be here Wednesday, and we know when we get home from work or school, we're going to have that package there. But if God says He's going to do something for you, you got to believe in your heart. You got to trust God more than you trust Amazon Prime. You got to know that he said it's going to come, and it may not be in your time, but it's in his time, in his perfect time. Maybe we're not ready for it at the moment, but it's going to be right on time when it arrives. Y'all stop trusting in Amazon more than you trust in God. That's a word.
Amazon, it really be Temu for real.
Yeah. Right. Temu be playing. But stop trusting Prime. Trust in the God who put all of this stuff. He orchestrated all of this. He orchestrated he gave us the ability to do everything that we do. He gave us the ability to overcome. He gave us the ability, but he gave us his word. He gave us his word. So we got to trust in his word. We got to trust that when he says that he will never leave us or forsake us, that he's going to do it, that he's going to be there. We have to trust that he said with his stripes, we are healed. So we already healed. We're just waiting on the manifestation. Well, if we had that same faith, listen, the Bible says faith the size of a mustard seed. You can speak to a mountain and say, be thou removed and cast into the sea. What if we had that same faith that we have in Amazon? Seriously, Temu. Once we get that tracking number, we on it. I know I am. Once they ain't made a label for it yet. I'm that person that
You be looking at it.
I'm that person that when you send me that confirmation number, I'm clicking on it to see where it is, and the label hasn't been made. It hasn't been picked up yet. Oh, right? But then the next day you get it and say, hey, your package will arrive on Friday. Like, without a doubt that it's going to come on Friday. You're not taking into account that anything can happen with UPS, FedEx, traffic or anything. It's like, I know that's going to be here on Friday. Know that God's going to be there for you. Expecting my package. Expect God to do the supernatural in your life. Expect God to manifest healing in your life. Don't you give up on him. Don't you give up on what it looked like. That's why I said, now I want you to change your confessions, that when you do have kids, you will be able to do some things that you thought you wouldn't be able to do. God is able to do anything. He is able to do exceeding abundantly above all you can ask or think, according to the power that works in you. So the power of life and death lies in Brikky's tongue. So now start saying, when I have kids, I'll be able to do this. And when I have kids, I'll be able to do that. And I'll be able to go here and I'll be able to go there, because this is not going to stop what God has planned for my life. You will live a fulfilled life. You will not live a limited life. God didn't keep you here to limit you. He didn't keep you here to cap you. He kept you here for you to prosper, and for you to prosper abundantly. He kept you here for a reason. He kept you here to be a blessing, but he's going to bless you. Why? Because you're trusting in him and you're speaking faith. But that same faith, that you got to speak it back into you. You will be able to do some of the things you never thought you would be able to do, because God is in you, because he got you. Expect it like we expect. Hey, Temu might take a little bit longer, but it's coming. But hey, y'all put that in the chat. It may take a little bit longer, but it's coming.
The time is now.
The time is now. Matter of fact, I told my goddaughter tonight, I said I was listening to TD Jakes and something kind of happened to try to throw my spirit off, and I was listening to his service from yesterday, and the whole thing shifted because he was talking about something, and then he said, "You're next." And I lost it in here by myself. I lost it, because guess what? You're next. Listen, it's time out. We've been watching everybody else get their blessing, and we've been wondering, God, when are you going to do it? Somebody type in the chat. It may take a little bit longer, but it's coming.
But it's coming.
Hey, some things are custom made. So when you get custom made stuff, what might take 7 to 10 business days might take you 21 business days, because it's custom made and it's tailor made just for you. So it might be taking a little bit longer, but guess why? Because it's custom made and it's tailor made just for you. But it's coming. It's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming.
That's confirmation right there.
It's coming.
It's confirmation. It's coming.
It's coming. Watch. If that faith that we got, listen, that faith that we have in Temu, and UPS and FedEx and Amazon Prime, especially Amazon Prime. We know we getting it. I'm paying that $14.99 a month. I know I better get my package in 2 days.
Okay,
Why not? Why not put that faith in the one that died for us, that suffered and bled and died for us, and that rose again from the dead? And listen, why not put that faith in him? Why not put that faith in him for your healing? Why not put that faith in him for your breakthrough? Why not put that faith in him for your deliverance? It's custom made, and it's coming just for you. Just for you, Brikky.
Yes.
Just
Not
for
just
you.
for me, but just for you too.
Just for I receive it. I receive it's custom made. It's on the way.
It's on the way.
It's if you believe that, put that thing in the chat. It's custom made and it's on the way.
It's custom made. It's on it. See, that's running right there.
It's custom made,
on that one.
but it's on the way.
It's on the way.
Amazon Prime ain't got nothing on God. Amazon ain't got nothing on God.
Nothing.
Nothing. If Amazon can make this happen, I believe God can do it too. I believe God even more. It's on the way.
It's on the way.
I am so grateful to have met you.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that we connected on social media. I am grateful for your life.
Thank you.
And I'm just looking forward to seeing your name on flyers more. I'm looking forward to seeing your name and they're saying, hey, she told her testimony or God spoke to her to give me a word and lives are changed because of you. You have a lot more living to do. Don't you dumb yourself down for nobody. Don't you let the enemy, hey, tell him that's just a shadow. His rod and his staff, his come from me. I got goodness and mercy following me. You can't do no more than what God allows. Don't you give in to the enemy. And don't you stall. Do what he told you to do. Don't put it on pause. And trials and tribulations will come. That's all a part of life. Life be lifing, but God is God. He be doing great things. We give the enemy too much credit. I don't give him no people like, oh, Satan is God is busy.
He is.
God is busy. God is doing great things.
Yeah. Every day, I believe God.
I believe God.
I put pound sign. I believe God.
I believe God. Hey,
I see him do it.
And tell people this. Who did it for you? What your shirt say?
Oh yeah, can y'all see it?
God did it.
God did it.
God did it for you.
God.
Tell the people how to follow you. Come on, tell them how to follow you.
You can follow me on Facebook. It's Brikky Penn. Instagram, I am Brikky.L. Also, my YouTube channel. I do have a video up there, but I am currently working on another one. It is Keeping Up with Brick. And I am going to be talking again, about different life, day-to-day trials, testimony, how to overcome trauma, and a lot of great things. So make sure you guys tune in with me. Yeah, so this is what I want y'all to do. I'm going to read what Mike said. He that started good work in you, he will see it through until the end. Come on, Mike. He didn't start it to not finish it. Listen. So this is what I want y'all to do. I'm not pushing my YouTube channel tonight. I want to push hers. Y'all go to her YouTube and subscribe. Keeping Up with Brick. Her tag is I am Brikky. Let's subscribe to her YouTube tonight. Let's put her out there. And let's push her to be the best that she could be. And know that you got a great support system behind you. I'm going to be watching your stuff. I'm subscribed. And I'm looking for stuff to go up on a regular basis. And get that testimony out there. Be great, Brikky. Thank you. Eyes have not seen. Ears have not heard. Neither has it entered into the heart of man what God has in store for you. Believe that with your whole heart. Don't you doubt it. No matter what happens, you might stump your toe. Keep going. God still got great things for you. Yeah, he still got blessing for you. And just remember, no matter what, God did it. He did. God did it. He did.